One of the keys to working with AutoCAD is efficient editing techniques. One way to quickly modify an object is through grips and grip editing. You can drag grips to perform any stretch, move, rotate, scale, mirror, or various other different types of operations. Grips are small, solid-filled squares colored blue that are displayed at strategic points on an object that you've selected. So if I select this arc, these blue squares are its grips. When grips are turned on, you can select the objects that you want to manipulate before entering a command. So meaning you don't start a command, then turn on grips. You just turn on the grips by selecting the objects. Very simple. Once selected, you can use the grips to manipulate the objects with your cursor very easily. So to use a grip, you just find one, pick it, and then you can move things around. I'm going to turn off the ortho command so we can see things a little bit better. See, as I move this around, I'm stretching this endpoint. So it does the exact same thing as a stretch command. As you can see, these two grips, which are based on the endpoint and midpoint of this arc, stay where they're at. Nothing else has changed. The only other thing that is changing, though, is the center of my arc. You can see how my radius is changing, and AutoCAD's telling me what's being changed on it. I just pick a new point, and there we go. Now the midpoint will allow me to move it by keeping the endpoints. This endpoint's the same as the other one, and the center grip just means I can move the object. Now you can see here, when I hover over this grip, I don't pick it, I get two options, stretch and radius. Well, the stretch is that moving thing that I did before, and radius allows me to change the radius based on the midpoint and the center point. Those will be held, so our endpoints are going to move. So I can just type in the new radius of whatever I want it to be. Say 6 feet. And that's basically how grips work. Different grip types, meaning a midpoint, center, endpoint, will have different extra functions. And that is going to vary depending on the type of object. So like the endpoint of an arc, and the line will be the same way, will allow me to stretch it, and it moves that endpoint around, or lengthen it. So I'm lengthening this arc, and I can type in the number of degrees it's going to go to, or I can just pick a point, and there it goes. A line's grips are very similar to an arc's. My midpoint allows me to use the stretch command for the whole object, or I can stretch the endpoint or lengthen the line. That's a great way to quickly make a line longer or shorter, or to even move it. And I don't need any commands to do that. Just select your objects, and you can pick more than one, though the only thing changed is going to be the grip that you're selecting. But what you can do is hot grip something. So if I select the line and the arc, and I hold down the Shift key, and I pick multiple grips, the relationship between those hot grips, that's what these are called, hot grips, they turn red, like red hot. This relationship of these 3 points, the way they relate to geometrically, will not change. So now I can pick any of these, and it's like using the stretch command. And those 3 points will always remain at the same geometric relationship. So I can hot grip this endpoint and this midpoint, and now those 2 points stay the same, but the endpoints on my arc and the other endpoint of the line will move. Let's take a look at some other types of grips. If we have a circle, there are no endpoints involved in this, like with the line and arc, but it does have grips that you can use. The center point is just a move, so that'll move your circle around. The quadrant grips will allow you to change the radius or the diameter of your circle. So you can just type in what you want it to be. So right now, it's at about 5 feet. So now we can change it by typing in 3 feet. And now it's 3 feet. Now, most of the grips, like that are on the endpoints, are stretch. It's just like a stretch command. You pick it and you move it somewhere else. For example, if I use the stretch command, select the end of that line, see, it's the same thing. How much easier is that? 3 clicks. That's why grips are efficient, and that's why they help you do the exact same thing, but in a quicker and better way. Now, you can also move with grips. As you saw earlier, a lot of those are the midpoint or the centers. I can also select multiple grips here, and then hot grip them. And now I'm moving these 2 items together. But you also have to keep in account of what those grips do. So in this case, I'm changing the radius and the line at the same time. Now there are some other things that you can do with grips. So if I select an object, hot grip it, press the space bar, I can do a couple of different things. I can use the move, press the space bar again. Now I can rotate, space bar again, and it's a scale option. Space bar again, I can mirror the item, and space bar again is a stretch. So let me show you that one more time. If I draw a polyline, and it's an odd shape, press enter. I select it, and I grip something. It defaults to the stretch command, but if I press the space bar, now it turns into a move command. And you can tell that by looking at your command line. See, it starts off with stretch and then goes to move. And you have different options. You can copy it on a move, which is a great way to use the copy command without ever using the copy command. Press spacebar again, and it kind of takes you out. You have to pick your item again. So press spacebar, it's in the move. Press it again, now it's rotate. So it rotates the entire object based on the grip point that you selected. Now you can just pick your point, or you can type in the angles that you want it to rotate to. Pick your grip again. Press the spacebar until I get scale. Now, as I move my mouse back and forth, it measures the distance in units from the selected base point to where my crosshairs are. Now I'm at 5 feet 6 inches away, so that's 66 units. So I'm scaling this object by 66 units. Now I can move my mouse around, or I can just say 2 and make it twice as big. So if I pick my point one more time, keep pressing the space bar until I get to where I want, now I can mirror my object. And those are how you use grip edits. So you're going to find different grip edits for different types of objects, like the line. When you do, hover over the grip and you'll get this other box that will show you some extra features you can use. Or you can just pick it and start stretching. That's the default functionality. And remember, press the space bar, and that will toggle you through the list of options that you have available to you when you grip edit in grip edit mode on your object.